Yeah, then I think we're already running a little bit late, so I'm directly handing over to Tamar, our first panelist, and ladies first.
Thank you. Should I introduce myself first? And then...
Please, yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, all the organizers, for putting this panel together. I myself, I'm from SOLANA team, and I am very proud to have our ecosystem projects here present as well. I see Danny Choi from Metaplex attending the talk, and also, hi, Danny, and all the other teams such as Neon Labs and All Arts team also participated. We are super excited to be part of it because we at SOLANA, we also really focus on creating a new environment and new opportunities for the creators and artists around the world. And we are very much focused on bringing that vision of creator economy and enabling artists all across the world through the products such as Metaplex, for example, which helps you as a creator to directly connect with your audience. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here. In SOLANA, I work on ecosystem growth part, and also I focus on investment side as well. So very happy to be with you today.
Great to have you. Abhitej, I think we're handing over to you.
Thank you so much, Marcus, and thank you again to all the organizers for having us today. I guess it's interesting to talk about art and technology, and especially from a very fresh perspective. And Kachut, I would say that build-up is always nice. We often talk about that in crypto. You build up to things. So I guess this online version is to a great build-up to the in-person event. To introduce quickly about myself, I'm Abhitej Singh, and I am head of marketing strategy and community at Persistence. I've been part of the Persistence team since the very early days in 2019. About what we are doing at Persistence is we are trying to bring different asset classes and give exposure to the XPRT holders, which is like our native token. So it's basically creating an ecosystem of different asset classes altogether. And NFTs for us have been close to our hearts since the very start. Persistence was the first project to do an NFT transaction between two different blockchains. And that was back in 2019. Cosmos has covered a lot of that on their Cosmos blog. And since then, I guess rather than catching up to the consumer market, we have been focusing a lot on the infrastructure layer. And the goal is to complement a lot of things that are going on in Ethereum ecosystem, Solana ecosystem, Tezos, and that's, I guess the whole economy is booming, but we're still as early as it gets in the whole space because the use cases are booming. So that's, we'll talk more about what you're trying to do at Aspental, which is one of the Persistence products, and how we're trying to basically create an omni-chain infrastructure for all NFTs to coexist and all ecosystems to coexist. Yeah, so that's a quick introduction about what we're doing.
Awesome, thanks a lot. Last but not least, Paul.
Yeah, thank you everyone for having me. Great pleasure. So my name is Paul. I'm one of the co-founders of DIA. DIA is a decentralized oracle. What does an oracle do? It provides data to blockchain. So a blockchain doesn't know what's happening outside from itself. And we traditionally empowered applications on such blockchains, so programs with financial data. But we see obviously like the use cases on what's happening in these networks are expanding. NFTs are a great example, and they require different sets of data. So we have been working in the past months to basically provide here again building blocks for creators, for applications who rely on our data, and with this can build out applications. So happy to put this a bit more into context here in the panel, what this potentially can mean. And yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. I think the previous panel, they talked a lot about the future, and I think they have been very excited about everything. And especially the metaverse and digital twins. So we need to find here a topic in this panel, not going into the same direction. So the first question I would ask to all of you, and yeah, I think I know the answer, and it's a tough question. But the question is, which blockchain will win at the end? You know, we have now Solana, we have Ethereum.
Really, Marcus. Thank you. You see, Paul knows me well too.
I think for people outside, right, they know Bitcoin and they know there's Ethereum, but we have so many other blockchains currently coming up. And I think what people need to understand, and I'll answer my question a little bit on my own, that that these blockchains are on top of the internet, and the internet was great to transfer information. Now the blockchains are there to transport value. And coming back to the question, Tamar, what do you think? Which will be the winning blockchain?
I actually believe that a blockchain that has the highest quality developers building on top of them will, at the end of the day, be the most successful one. And to be honest, the layer 1 blockchains are as good as the people building on top of them. So I think right now I am in Solana ecosystem. I am biased. I'm liking the developers and like founders in our ecosystem. And I think that we do have multiple success stories. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much my position on that question. I think if we keep bringing more founders and developers that can build on Solana and keep the rate of those kind of developers, then yeah, I think Solana is one of the successful blockchains out there.
Abhitej, handing over to you, working on the inter-blockchain communication. Curious.
I have quite a contrast opinion from what Tamar mentioned, coming from the ethos of coexistence. I believe each blockchain comes with its own special proposition. That means each blockchain provides its own value. It's like internet would have existed, all of it on one website. Only one company would have moderated all tools that are provided, right? But that doesn't exist. Today, you have multiple applications, multiple websites that exist on internet, and a lot of them can intercommunicate. So it's very similar for blockchains today, where if you want to go for security, you would always go for Ethereum because the underlying security is great. And when you're trying to say multiple assets, when you only have to do transactions in a very secure manner, you would choose Bitcoin. You want to go after the speed, I would always go for Solana, right? So it's like you want to do applications that have to have very quick transactions. Solana is a choice, or high TPS. You want to go something where you're trying to create multiple use cases and have sovereignty at the same time, you would go for Cosmos. So it's like every chain is going to exist and coexist and provide their own unique proposition, which users will pick up on. But how do you create this an ecosystem that becomes scalable is when different chains work together. Wormhole is a great example of trying to connect, through bridges, multiple blockchains. Cosmos is another example of trying to create Gravity Bridge. At Persistence itself, like, we don't want to be like competing with any layer 1, but what you're trying to create is an agnostic infrastructure. And that is like when I talk about NFTs itself, right? Asset Mental, if you look, is designed in a way which enable creators on multiple chains to come and create marketplaces and exchange value for NFTs itself. So rather than I saying, okay, I'm going to be another one going out competing against Metaplex or OpenSea, that's not the goal what we have at Asset Mentor. Rather than what we want to try and do is give that agnostic layer for people to sort of leverage on all these marketplaces. So we want to be a complementing party in this, providing this interchain NFT world. And that's where basically, as I said, providing an omniverse or like omniverse of NFTs altogether. So my question, my answer to this question is plain and simple. We would see hundreds of blockchain in future to come. Each blockchain would come with its own proposition, and it will be for the user to pick what they want to go off. So of course there would be one trade-off with another on each blockchain. But it's same with applications today in internet. So we just like we're going to see, say 5 years from now, a replication of how internet emerged. Every application had its own proposition. Same way every blockchain will have its own proposition.
Paul, do you want to add something? But I think the answer was pretty good.
I think I can second that. I mean, we're cross-chain Oracle. So what does this mean? We're pulling data from multiple chains, and there's a reason why we're doing it, because there's demand for it. So applications and the user of the application finds value that they are that they're interacting with different protocol layers, and I think right now there are a lot. We'll see more, and then we'll probably go through some state of consolidation, because there are, I guess, certain value propositions, speed, as you were saying, or decentralization, hence security maybe, and other value propositions why you want to use one or the other. This is on a technical level. And then I think there are other incentives on a community level. What we saw in the past, you see that some more efficient versions of Ethereum or solutions which make Ethereum more efficient to use, created incentives, and this attracts people to build on top of those. So I think it's a mixture of technology and incentives for people to use it and pass on these incentives to users, which will define which are the blockchains we're going to use. I'm pretty sure that we'll see more than one and a bunch, but we'll see some consolidation. And in order to be a relevant blockchain, you need a clear value proposition on the technology level, but even further than this, you need to attract builders, community to actually scale. And I think this is interesting to see how this value proposition influences long-term the success and the usage of such a blockchain. And please correct me, Tamar, but looking at Solana, it is, let's say, a bit more complex to initially build on it, but at a certain point, there are some, let's say, efficiency gains to create applications on it, which will you benefit as a builder in the long term. And this will attract different use cases than let's say deploying something on Binance Smart Chain, which is fast and you can replicate a lot of stuff which has been built. And so also due to their architecture plus incentives, all these blockchains will somehow cater to different use cases. And we're very happy that there's a certain level of complexity in order to aggregate pricing information, or other metadata from these blockchains, aggregated and provided to applications, so they don't have this complexity to lift.
Awesome. I would quickly jump gears or switch gears here real quick. And Abhitej, I would like to come back to one point you mentioned in one of our previous calls. And this is the hyper financialization
of the world.
Hyper financialization of the world. And I think this is currently happening with the NFT space, right? So we have an old established industry, art, and the NFT industry, the NFT implementation is nothing else than making it a financial instrument. Yes, it's a collectible and we can use it as an entry ticket and a club and everything. But at the end, the blockchain technology and the use cases we are currently mostly building on is trying to make financial products out of it. Well, how do you see it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So if you look at the broader, like the global perspective, it was like only few players had the power to create something, had the control of how the things go out there. But now what we're starting to see is not only like there are few products are not only financialized, everything is getting financialized, whether it's collectibles, whether it's art, and whether in the future it's ownership, your social identity. Like everything is going through that financialization phase. What it also offers is a huge opportunity for every person who is sitting on the other end. So it's not just like few people driving what is happening in the world, but it is also like each creator, each individual, each user has the power today to go out and create something there. And social media has provided it. Everyone has so much power today to create content, and then of course gain their own niche audience. But with this currently, as what you're seeing with NFTs today could be considered what happened with .com bubble, with what happened with ICO boom. And I'm just trying to draw the patterns where you saw that everyone was doing an ICO boom. And so we were on the top of the, as the plateau says, you were top of the hype, and then of course the ICO boom declined, and then you started seeing quality projects build up, and that's where DeFi Lego came around, right? So projects like Aave, Compound, Synthetics, and eventually multiple layer ones emerged out of that ICO boom. And what we're seeing today with NFTs is very similar, where you're seeing all different people trying to create their own collectibles. But as the industry matures, what is happening is there's a lot of capital that is coming in, and you are on the peak of the plateau. And what is going to happen is now, as any art piece doesn't find a use case beyond just like having a digital piece, is basically going to decline because it has no liquidity, or as I said, you're trying to create a financial instrument, right? So if the financial instrument itself doesn't have any utility, it's going to fall down, right? And in that case, what we are going to see then is, which Paul already mentioned, right? How you're trying to create use cases by drawing out a lot of data from like different chains, use cases on these different chains, and you will start seeing use cases on top of these NFTs, and which at Persistence we are trying to do ourselves. We are trying to create like different use cases for NFTs altogether on different chains. We are bringing real world assets such as invoices, bill of ladings, ownership documents on chain through NFTs. And of course, these NFTs are unique representation, and then you can exchange these, right? You would have like social tokens are a great example where you would have each person like off-chain reputation would be translated on chain, and now it's an auditability of like your social identity, and that's getting traded as an NFT. So what you would see is robust use cases coming out of this initial interest. So when people say like, I would want to say with the traditional assets, I guess they're missing out on what would happen. So I today itself read Nawal's tweet that people who think about money, at present are actually missing out because they will become irrelevant because there are people who will think about what will be the meaning of money in future. And so when you're talking about what will be the meaning of money in future, or when you talk about what will be the meaning of the art or collectibles in future, if you miss out that journey altogether, you're basically, sitting ducks. So I guess it's about that hyper financialization of all these different assets. Crypto has just like accelerated it, now provided the power to the end user as well. And what we are seeing right now is just like experimentation. So it's a science lab where everyone is trying to mix different chemicals, and some of those chemicals come up with new components or new chemicals, or some of them are just exploding, right? So there's a blast. So you could say rug pulls or whatever is happening is those failed experiments. But those new ones you're seeing would be one which would give you, great nuclear power, which would give you synthetic clothing, which would give you, solar energy, how to convert it, photovoltaic cells, how the chemical conversion is happening in those. So that's where stage we are at. So that's my like broad answer to how this is happening and why it is so important to be part of this journey. And that's the role crypto plays altogether in this overall spectrum, where the drivers and like the builders or the users can all be together, right? There's not one person like has the prominence or advantage over the other. There's no use case without users, and there's nothing without builders. So it's like now quite a good balance.
I think we all fully agree, and what we also currently see is, you have this S-curves of innovation, right? Be it artificial intelligence, be it blockchain, or be it gaming. And we currently see the merge of all these S-curves, and they're at the end boosting each other into a huge innovative S-curve, which is helping to more or less have exponential growth of this digital economy we're currently in. And talking about mentioning gaming, what was really mind-blowing for me, and Tamar, I'm coming back to you, was the fact that on Solana, you currently have games, really multiplayer games, which do not having any more a centralized server, a traditional server, to sync all the current players, but they're using the Solana blockchain. So be it Star Atlas or everything which is currently coming up on Solana, I think Solana will be a leading accelerator or infrastructure component to bring the gaming industry to the blockchain world.
We are actually super excited about the like gaming industry and its development on Solana. And you mentioned Star Atlas. There are a couple of other projects like Aurora, which recently launched. And the most interesting component to me is that this gamifying the whole like ecosystem in a way that all those digital assets in each game can be actually interactive, and all the players can also exchange the digital assets and like really be in charge of what they own. And also like we go even one step further, and I can tell you that there are teams which are building this bridging layer between the games where you can actually literally trade in-game assets in somewhere else in a marketplace in different game as well. So I think a whole new opportunities are opening up. Like gaming, so like Axie Infinity, right? Like they enable a lot of local economies and a lot of populations in emerging markets, which highly got infected by COVID. And we will see a lot of applications actually coming from those emerging markets. And that's why I'm super excited about gaming and NFT perspective, especially in areas which are like not in the West, where we always meant to look for those what was next amazing unicorn projects, but we are now looking into the East and seeing completely different applications and gaming projects that are changing just everyone's lives.
You mentioned an interesting point, this play to earn. I think we all agree blockchains are in general a global business, right? So there's not the German blockchain or the Swiss blockchain or the US blockchain. If you have a blockchain, Solana is globally. So what we currently see with the NFT space is the birth of the global digital economy, and the citizens at the end, they have the possibility of play to earn, so playing some games or do whatever, and increase their earnings and have an income. And you mentioned Axie Infinity. I think in the Philippines, you have, I don't know the numbers by heart, but it's really an important income right now for a lot of people there.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I've seen similar stories from Vietnam, from Indonesia. I was looking literally yesterday, I was reading about the NFT marketplace that launched for 2 weeks, like in August. And they have already 10,000 creators and collectors coming together and like trying to literally change their life by like creating their own collections and understanding what is the value that they can exchange between each other. So yeah, I'm actually super excited, and that's why in Solana as well, I'm trying to always focus on emerging markets and bring projects and founders, enable founders from there to build next layer of gaming protocols.
That's pretty cool. You know, talking to you, Tamar, I need to show you. I'm not sure if you can see.
I can't see. Yeah.
You can't see. I received it today, and a big. I received
so
it today
nice.
morning.
Congratulations. Nice.
So
I'm happy to see it.
I hope everybody can see it. This is a metal card. And it's actually a Solana wallet. It's a so-called SPL card. And you can store your Solana NFTs and other Solana tokens on this metal card. And it's coming in this beautiful case. And, for me, this was really a game changer, having this physical card.
Yeah, custody.
Yeah, exactly. Now I still have my NFTs, right? I have my art. And if I want, I can really hand it over to you, right? It's bringing the NFT virtual element to the physical world. And I think this is super important that also the people which are not the MetaMasks and the Phantom users are able to somehow participate in the NFT market, right?
Yeah, and you are the first one to receive it. I still don't have mine, so congrats. I'm jealous of you. But yeah, we're actually, this is SPL cards, right? Honestly, custody solutions is another level, and infrastructure behind it is very complicated, I believe. But this literally is something that we actually in physical events wanted to bring to your art collectors and show how you can actually own something digital in a physical wallet. And thank you for showing that to all of our attendees.
It's amazing, right? So if you really, we're talking about a lot about play to earn and all the possibilities of NFTs. But what we currently see is really art itself. So we have the first experiments with generative art, which I also very much like. But at the end, it's really artists coming in and digitalizing their art, and to make a broader, to have access to a broader set of potential customers. I think physical storage solutions
is a game changer.
Is a game changer, exactly. So now you can really buy in a store your NFT if you want. And I think for broad mass adoption, this is super important. So again, thanks for the SPL cards.
No worries.
But talking about generative art, and then I'm handing over to Paul because I know he's also a huge fan. Paul, can you quickly explain for the audience what generative art is?
Yeah, I hope. and I guess it's changing. So this is just. But I think this is the extremely interesting part. I personally am. What are NFTs? They have multiple use cases, enabling creators to portray content is one of many. I think there's a very much strong cultural element around NFTs. So Marcus, I'm just seeing here this ape. This is fun. Is it art? I don't know. Nobody should judge about art anyways. But I think it's for sure a very cultural heavy element, and it brings community people together, and it's a breeding ground for something new and exciting. When it comes to art, generative art, I find this extremely exciting because I kind of see the value that art which lives not on paper or in the physical world expands the possibilities of what you can do. So instead of trying to replicate a picture of a great landscape and putting it on an NFT, I find this not so exciting as, for example, generative art, which is basically code which defines art. That's at least my curious to other definitions here. But it's basically code which gets some outside information or some other triggers and and based on these will define the art. And then there are some forms of generative art or other art which also changes over time, which is somehow dynamic. I think these elements make it so much more interesting what one can actually, or how one can expand what was possible with art, maybe something which somehow was being done with performance art, but kind of saving this, bringing the completely different spin. And then the next interesting question, I think, is how do you use it? How do you portray it? Because we're so used to like hang stuff or put stuff, or I think with video art, we already have the problem you buy for 20K like a VHS or something in the 90s. So okay, it's for a heavy collector, but I'm quite excited. I think as we're also, and we touch upon this, and I guess the previous panel also here is, do we only portray and use and enjoy art in the physical space, or the more and more we're using the metaverse or Axie Infinity, which I mean all these play to earn and other virtual experiences, I think it's one and the same, approaching something from similar directions, but we will spend probably more time in a virtual world, however this might look, than we're doing this currently. And so art is something we can potentially take with us, no matter how it then is being used. It might be a wearable which is somehow connected to the art, which changes over time. And so I think we'll have a very different interaction with art, not so much anymore possibly in the physical space for certain elements, such as generative art. So yeah, maybe I expanded here a bit on your question, but it's definitely something I find extremely interesting, and where I really see that this is not just the financialization of art, which we touched on upon, where you just like upload something, you try to sell it, and that's it, but where you really change and expand what art can be actually, through technology here.
I like Abhitej, please go ahead.
I just wanted to add on this, and I was about to talk about it, and Tamar already sent it on the group, right? So I think so. All people think alike when they're in crypto. So what Paul was mentioning is very powerful, and bringing from Sylvia's point from previous panel, he was mentioning that how like it is so difficult for people to digest. Why would I spend like thousands of dollars or millions of dollars on my virtual avatar, which is very similar to say, why would I spend it on myself, right? It's like the definition of how you exist today is changing, and COVID has just like, maybe that was happening in a decade later on from now, but just accelerated that whole process where we have lived in virtual world, we are attending virtual events for like last couple of years, and everything has happened like virtually. So it's like how today art means is, it's like every expression, which Paul was mentioning, every generation has its own way to express. Today, art is not painted with brushes and canvas. It's just like everyone lives in digital world, and we believe in code because, say, if I'm sending money, I'm sending to Bitcoin, I'm having a conversation with my friend, it's over WhatsApp. So for everyone today, it's like digital, like code is paint, and this whole digital world is canvas, and it just opens up so many new possibilities. And Loot is just a great example of that, where you just like you create a set of things that can be defined in any way you want to define it. So it's like you don't limit people with what you have just created, but you let all the people like visualize on what all can happen. It's like, seeing at the Starry Night by Van Gogh and say what perception I want to have of the Starry Night. And it's a perception. What was Picasso's painting? I'm looking at it, and it's only my perception which is true to me because the artist never defined it. And same as what Loot or generative art is doing is, it's like up to the perception of the end user, how they want to use it. And then how do I create my art even more unique? And that's where the second project comes in, where like, so CryptoPunk has now accessories, right? Where you have Solana and like academies like apes, you have like new accessories. Like now I would want to take my Solana ape and then put it into this new project, get it accessorized, Gucci glasses, or it might have like a Tommy Hilfiger t-shirt. You're just like giving people new imaginations. So what we are seeing is existence or expression of people not geographically restricted and not centrally controlled, where it's not, Facebook will not create my perception of something because they can. They're collecting so much data that they can actually change my perception because it's centrally controlled. What they keep on projecting would be what would be, whereas in blockchain, anyone can create their own perception because it's decentralized, and you live in a world where you have endless possibilities of how you want to express yourself. You're not geographically restricted, you are not controlled by anyone, and then in addition to that, you have the power to create on top of it. So just an add-on to what Paul mentioned, and I just wanted to say because it's a very, very strong point, and just going to emerge from here.
Yeah, fully agree. I said it the last couple of days somewhere as well. In the past, I was buying every year for thousands of dollars my suits, shirts and ties and everything, right? Now I'm spending thousands of dollars for my profile picture. It completely changed, and I like it. I think from a it sounds crazy, but from an economical point of view and from an ecological point of view, ESG, that we are less consuming all these physical textiles and buying more and more clothes and going more into a digital representation of I'm expressing myself, will for sure help to save the planet at the end. So I'm really happy that we're all like-minded and trying to save the planet. The last 5 minutes, I would love to spend talking a little bit about the hackathon. And Persistence as well as Solana is currently one of the main sponsors of the hackathon. And maybe, Abhitej, starting with you, maybe you can give a couple of words about the challenge you're currently giving the developers and what you would like to see.
Yeah, so absolutely on that term, I guess it's again touching on the same point that I mentioned at the start of it. It's about trying to coexist ecosystems. So if you look today, NFT ecosystem is very siloed, where NFTs of Solana exist on Solana, NFTs of Ethereum exist on Ethereum, Tezos NFTs exist on Tezos. And that means as every creator has to either create 3 different identities, 3 different wallets, or so have to exist over and over again in different ecosystems, rather than what Persistence is trying to do is bring together these all ecosystems on a base layer, where we have created this infrastructure called Ask Mental, which one thing it is like, one of the analogies could be how OpenSea could be considered as an Amazon, where you go out and merchandise, and a lot of people can go out and buy from there. So it's a buyer and seller match. And on the other hand, you have something like Asset Mentor, which is like a framework and not essentially a marketplace, but a framework which allows people to create their own individual marketplaces, which could have their own logic, which could have their own tokenomics, their own metadata descriptions. And these metadata are basically elastic metadata, as we would say, because it can fit in ERC 721, ERC 1155 standard, BP 721 standard, multiple standards. So when you move this NFT from, say, Persistence ecosystem or Cosmos ecosystem to Ethereum, your metadata is not compromised. And that is one of the things. So all challenges are basically I would encourage people to create something on Solana and then try to see how do you bring that over to Cosmos, right? And give people this chance to leverage onto what is being built on Solana, right? And the entire infrastructure is already laid out. And this standard that we have created for multi-chain NFTs or cross-chain NFT communication is known as Inter, INTER, NFT.org is the broader thing. Have shared a lot of documentation in the Discord server that we have for this art hackathon. We have also shared, so also open to doing a lot of workshops as we get more questions of like how to do it. But the here is that developers have full reign on what they want to, where they want to create it. Ethereum, Cosmos, Solana, Tezos, you name it. If you're comfortable with anything built there, it's just a way to, how do you then bring it to other ecosystems? And leveraging into an NFT could be one of those things. Yeah, so we're giving out $50,000 for in like the vision of all different challenges. So if you're building out, it's a great opportunity to, and I wouldn't discriminate with any chain. It's like, also giving out people a chance to, why not attract such a huge community that Solana has? Why not attract so much liquidity and composability that Ethereum has? So that's what all our challenges are about.
Tamar.
Yeah, thank you. I think I was super excited when you guys reached out to me about the hackathon opportunity, because I don't think, so Solana does host the hackathons globally as well, but it's very technical based, right? So majority of the participants always are developers and hardcore, like people who like to code. But with this hackathon, I saw an opportunity, and Solana saw the opportunity to kind of bridge the gap between like this artistic side of NFTs and also bring on board developers and the interaction between those two types of stakeholders, right? So I think that's why we are super excited, and we wanted to kind of not limit anyone with any specific application or the product that we want to see developed, but rather just to think out of the box and think about, in general, art experiences in the modern world and in this new NFT digital art kind of world, right? So I think we have brought on board three our ecosystem projects, which is Metaplex, All Art, and Neon Labs, and they have sub-challenges. And they are all about focusing on art experience and new dimension of art. So yeah, I would. I can't wait to check it out, because this is the first time I will see artists and developers coming together and hacking together.
Super, thanks. Thanks a lot to both of you making it happen. I think you're the guys building the tracks and the real tracks we need. And thanks a lot. Last question before Reto is jumping in, and it's the question for everybody. So as we have a lot of traditional listeners currently here on the stream, you are more close to what is currently really hype and where you see a potential. What recommendation would you give to the audience? What kind of NFTs they should look at and potentially buy? And yes, we're no financial advisors. Tamar, starting with you.
I wanted to say, don't ask me, and here we go. I think I agree. I think Paul or Abhitej mentioned that utility. Like, I think that those NFTs in the long run do need to have some kind of utility on top of it. So I think like in-game NFTs, I'm super excited about that, and personally investing there. And also, yeah, to be honest, that's like to see what's the roadmap of the like specific NFT project that you're looking into, and understand if it has in the long term any utility for within their ecosystem. Or then again, there are different types of collectors, right? Like some people just want NFTs just for its visual. unique experience. So yeah, then it's literally not very different in terms of like how you choose traditional art piece from like NFT. So I think personally, I'm more excited about NFTs which have like added on utilities in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think it depends of what an NFT shall be. I mean, it's in the end, it's just a format. So I think they come in many forms and shapes. So there are some who have, I guess, you'll buy for financial gain the Uniswap positions, for example, where you get yield. We have DRRs, which are licensed NFTs, which provide you with a yield. That's a utility use case here. So here, I guess you should do a financial analysis on the return. But if you're looking at an NFT more from the creator space, as Tamar said, I think yeah, it's like art. Don't buy art unless you're professional to make money with it, but buy it because you like it. And don't expect it to be as liquid as Bitcoin just because it's on the blockchain. It's unique, and as it's unique, you might be the only one who wants it.
I guess I'm the last one to make. All great points have already been made. I just shared out a tweet by Spencer Noon, who talked about how to look NFTs as an investor. Again, coming back to the same point I mentioned, your definition for NFTs could be very different, right? If you look at it from our perspective, it could be very different from when you're looking for it as a gamer. It could be very different. So it's just like there has to be some initial homework before you jump into, or as they talk about it in crypto or NFT world, ape into any crypto, any NFT project. Because everyone is going to sell their NFT as the best NFT. It's about how do you see that NFT over time? Would you want to just keep it, hold it? And I would say if somebody is buying a collectible NFT, always buy it from this perspective whether I would want to hold it for endless to the end of the world. Would I hold this NFT? If yes, then you buy it. Other than that, it's like doing from investment perspective, as Paul mentioned, Tamar mentioned, something that it has utility, gaming NFTs, or owning NFTs to get yield on top of it, so it's generating fixed income, is a great way to go about. And starting small is the key in NFT space. That's my belief. Always start with an NFT that is small. You can experiment, you could trade it, you could put it on OpenSea, because once you have an asset, you experiment more. You try to be more cautious in your approach. And that's the way to go about it. If you go out and buy a CryptoPunk, which is today, for example, $4 million, just because you had $4 million to dispose, just remember, it's like saying, I would want to buy, and I'm just saying, for my brother doesn't even know about footballer from 60s. He's more fond of Ronaldo, Messi today, or Mbappe, and then tomorrow these guys would be again legends, and say eventually people would be more crazy about the new footballers. So the value proposition of the current NBA All-Star or the current NFL star, the best quarterback, is higher than the ones which are, were 3 years back or 4 years back. Same as with CryptoPunks. You could have new project that would emerge and becomes the new talk of the town, and everyone is trying to buy it, in which price would go up. So don't jump right away. Start small. Once you've done your homework, you understand. And the last point I want to make is NFT is community-driven asset altogether. Start your homework with Discord communities that are around these projects. You would find a lot of value in these communities. Some of these are agnostic, so they keep on talking about multiple NFT assets and on multiple chains. So please make sure that you join these Discord communities before buying an asset.
Thank you very much to you and to Barbara to make this panel happen. And thank you very much, all of you. And we hope anyway, soon in 2022, we can be together here in St. Urban in this beautiful place and listen to your mind-blowing, my mind is on fire now, explanations and discussions and philosophy. Thank you very, very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye again, and thank you.